Today on the Blazers Are Cool show, Brad and I are going to talk about Jrue Holiday and Jerami Grant. Jerami has been the talk of the town for basically all of the wrong reasons, but as people who have been a little bit higher on him as of late, Brad and I are going to go through why we think you should be as well. And then with Jrue, he's just a consummate professional. He brings a ton of experience to this team, championship level experience that I think we really need. So we'll go through why he's such a great add for the Blazers. We'll go through each of their best case scenarios, worst case scenarios, and make some predictions for the season. So settle in, hit a like for us on the video if you can. It helps us grow a ton. We are inching towards 1,000 subscribers thanks to your guys' help. And without further ado, let's talk about Jrue Holiday and Jerami Grant. Brad, the next two people we have to talk about in our Portland Trailblazer player previews are the oldest two players on this team, excluding Dame. Jerami and Jrue are the two oldest rostered players that will be playing this season. They're also the two most expensive. So when you think about it through that lens, you would assume that they're going to be contributing a lot. I would say that they're, if I had to guess, maybe the 6th and 7th most talked about players going into this season, somewhere about that.
Dude, I think Jerami might be number one.
Jerami might be number one for the worst way. Yes.
Recently,
you're right.
Yeah. Which, dude, we've been the biggest Jerami defenders. Last year, defensively, when Jerami was in the game, we were much better. Offensively, it was a disaster at times. But we've always seen that as like, you look at his career, like you have to think it's an outlier. To go from a 40% three-point shooter who's a good finisher at the rim to like the worst finisher at the rim in the league and a terrible three-point shooter. Like, or not terrible, I'm sorry. He shot what, 36? He was terrible at the rim. Yeah. He shot 36%, which was still a big drop-off. To us, it's like, it's got to be an outlier. And we saw how much better we were defensively, which is true. Our best lineup in the league last year, which passed there's a minimum, I don't know what it is, but there's a minimum minutes requirements to be counted in end of season stats. The lineup of Ant to Denny, Jerami, Klingon barely reached that threshold of minimum minutes, but with it was like this, I think, with the second best lineup in the entire NBA.
Yeah, it's like a plus 36 net rating.
Yeah. However, dude, I mean, I'll ask you, what do you think about his supposed attitude? Because I've gone back and forth a lot on it.
Here's what I'll say. I think we're believing in Jerami, or choosing to believe in him more. One, because of that impact we saw on the defensive end, because you can clearly turn your head the other way and you can look at the offensive end and be like, wow, this guy is terrible. Like,
trash.
You can truly see that. But I think we're believing in him because, one, we are like stuck with him. Like, he's going to be on this team for the next 3 years, where I don't really think we're going to find any way to get off his contract without adding assets to him, right? And it's seemingly only getting worse after last year, but we're hoping that turns around. Two, and this is to your question, like, he probably sees some of this stuff, man. Like,
of course.
He's got it. All these players see a little of something. And this is a guy who's very much not on his phone, so I could be completely wrong.
No phone, for sure. Easy. I don't like my phone anyway, to be honest. So if I can get rid of it, I would.
Yeah.
But to me, like, the questions he's got asked in media, I think it was Hyken who asked him about the media thing, and he's like, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I know my skills. To some degree, it for sure is like starting to get under his skin a little bit. And so if we're going to be the fan base that is going to bash him because the money he's getting, bash him because the ball didn't go in and he was shooting, like, that is basketball, you want the ball to go in. But
yeah, no, but I know what you mean. Just harping on the negatives.
Harping on the negatives. Then maybe we are gonna get a Jerami who checks out a little bit more. Maybe we are gonna Jerami who like gives way to Shaden and lets him go right in front of him and doesn't give a shit. Like, I don't think that's necessarily what he's going to do, but I think probably all this slander he's getting isn't gonna help. And again,
and you can argue that that's right or wrong, given that, these guys are paid millions.
Yeah.
But I don't care if it's right or wrong. It's something that could easily happen.
And back to your original question, I think his mood does seem like it's dipping a little bit. It seems like something is kind of taking form. I hope he just snaps out of it. He looks great. It's awesome because I still do believe he can do that. But I guess to me, it just feels like it's too early and it's too like easy to sit here as fans and talk and do a mic about him and just completely talk about how he sucks, because there's just no reason to give up on him yet, because we've seen great things on one side of the ball as recently as last year, which was his worst since he was about 24 years old or something like that.
Because I think we're far from just like delusionally optimistic.
Yeah.
It's more like we think it just doesn't help anything. This guy who's going to be on the team, having the entire storyline of the city right now being we don't want him here.
Yeah.
We don't want him to start. He has a bad attitude, blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, there's no way that's going to help.
Yeah.
And more than anything, the reason it sucks, and I think the reason that it probably would affect him, which again, he's paid $30 million a year. He should not let it affect him, but that's not how people work.
Exactly.
Like we've seen, you know what I mean? We've seen that for the entirety of every single professional sports organization ever. But also, you know, it's just given that he was still super impactful on our most important side of the ball last year, and he had a year that offensively, statistically feels like an outlier, there should be reason to be excited. And I didn't think his press conference at Media Day was as alarming as people thought. He looked like Jerami. He's always kind of been like sort of laid back and like that. Because, dude, the entire offseason, like he was posting pictures of him hanging out in Portland. He's from here, born here. He said he hated the offense last year.
Very frustrating, you know, last year with the offense and things like that. I think this year it is different. I think it does fit what I do on the court. It's definitely an open offense to where it's a lot of drive and kicks and swings and motion offense. It's a bit random, but also at the same time, there's a structure to it. I think it fits. I think it fits my style of play. I think there will be a lot more open shots, a lot more driving opportunities. It won't be anybody standing in one spot, anybody standing in the corner. So I'm excited for it.
Jerami has not been the reason our offense has been bad the last couple of years.
No.
In fact, a lot of the time, not last season, what people saw as ball stopping was a stagnant offense that desperately and successfully needed someone like Jerami to bail it out.
There was a lot of times down the stretches of games where Chauncey was calling up the play for Jerami. Like he was leaned upon in that role, and it obviously kind of fell off a lot last year, but that was like he was part of the focal point of the offense.
I'll never forget it's the worst game I've ever been to in my life. Blazers Pistons 2 seasons ago. Jerami had a career high of 47. We were missing a lot of guys, and he was the entire offense. And he delivered for 95% of the game until they basically just started tripling him. And that led to us. We had a 17-point lead in the fourth, and then ended up losing in overtime. And it was this moment of like, wait a second. Yeah, Jerami's kind of like a slower pace, ball stopping kind of player. But dude, the second he was taken out of this horribly stagnant offense, it looked awful. Which to me is more like he wasn't the reason for the ball stopping. He was actually the only bright spot about it whose game actually fit that to make it so we were competitive in some games 2 seasons ago. Last season was kind of just an overall disaster.
Yeah.
But like he said, he's excited about this new offense. But now to the negative, dude, I thought he looked terrible at FanFest. It was this weird mix of looking like he didn't give a shit, but also trying to get as many touches as he can. It was a fun, fast-paced offense until Jerami got the ball. And it was kind of like this is what everyone thought he was kind of game. So I couldn't believe that I thought Shaden at this scrimmage was like this high effort defensive 3-point shooter. And Jerami was this like ball stopping, couldn't care less, which again, I hope it's just because it was FanFest.
Yeah.
But it looked bad.
I'll say that like that, what you just said, and I don't think people will be shocked if he did kind of look like that this season. I think there would be a lot of people who be like, see, I told you. So I think that's the worst case is that those people are right, that Jerami doesn't care. Jerami, his offense last year was not a fluke. That's just he just somehow changed into that kind of over one season. Falling off, I mean, he's 31, so he's not old, but anyone can kind of fall off at any point technically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the offense just doesn't get any better. It stays about that bad. I really don't think he can get worse than that. Maybe the 3-point shooting even drops a little bit, but I'd be shocked. And basically all of that kind of culminates into him just fading to the back and then just not really trying as much. I really don't think he's going to be the type of person to, like, if his play is fading that much, that he'll just, like, give up. But, like, it could just kind of, his mentality could just make him play even worse, that, like, Chris Murray passes him, right?
Sure.
Or, like,
Who, by the way, looked pretty good at FanFest.
right? He can kind
He
of,
like didn't do much with his game, but he was like 15 pounds heavier supposedly, and you could see it.
yeah. Well, it's like, I mean, what we thought Jeremy was good at last year was the defensive side, and that's definitely what Chris Murray can bring. So, like, if neither one of them are going to bring anything on the offensive end, maybe it's Chris Murray who takes his role. So I think that's the worst case. That's repair too. So I think that's the worst case, is that last year wasn't a fluke, and other people, again, there's tons of opportunity, tons of young wings we've invested in that can totally jump him. So, you'd hope the fire is under him and that he'll be ready to go and still have it. And I think he will, at least for a while. What do you think the best case scenario for Jerami Grant is next year?
Dude, the best case scenario is he is exactly what we and every team wants. A like huge wingspan, 6'8", 6'9" forward who's a legit 3-and-D guy.
Yeah.
I think the term 3-and-D is one of the most overused terms in basketball. You call everything's like, oh, this guy's like we said, the league is about 3-point shooting and defense. However, there's like this obsession with like 3-and-D wings.
Yeah.
When there's only like a handful of actual 3-and-D wings. And Jerami at his best is one of those. A guy who shoots 40% from three and also is the perfect fourth best defender on a team, which is what he showed last year. I thought he was disappointing defensively when we first got him, because I just don't think he's a best defender on a team type of guy. But if he's able to be the fourth best defender, where he's just basically uses his insane length and wingspan to just cause chaos and be a perfect fourth piece to an amazing defense led by Jrue Holiday, Donovan Clingan, Tumani. He actually probably the fifth best defender, which is amazing. As world or Jerami Grant's your fifth best defender is like a best case scenario. And he goes back to being a 40% 3-point shooter, which he was under much worse offenses on the Blazers, and gets his finishing up to league average.
It just goes back to Jerami Grant. That's the best case scenario. It's such an attainable best case scenario, just to return to form.
But yeah, he has a very worrying worst case scenario, because like, dude, the worry for me is kind of the opposite of my hope for Scoot. Scoot's going to finally be in an offense where he's truly needed. Mm-hmm. Now I'm like worried that Jerami is going to be part of an offense where he's not needed.
Yeah.
Where he's no longer the like bailout guy, which he clearly likes being.
Yeah.
He likes being that guy. I mean, that's why he went to Detroit, not just for the money, but he went there so he could be like, he wanted to show he could be a 20-point per game scorer.
Right. And I don't think there's really any room for him to be a 20-point per game. I mean, there's I'll take anyone who's going to score 20 points on this team, obviously.
But I know what you mean.
But like, the way the offense seems like it's set up, the young guys who are ready to go, like, I just don't see a world where Jerami can get that many shots up and it really be a good thing. So like, there's so many moving pieces to this team, and Jerami Grant is one that could be so effective if he just buys in and gets back to normal, but just somehow it feels like it's all slipping away from us. Like, we're not setting lofty goals for him at all, but it's, for some reason, you and I feel like maybe we're losing this battle to keep Jerami up on a pedestal. Here's
what's tough for me, where it's like, we want both Shaedon and Jerami to break out, Jerami to return to form, Shaedon to break out.
Yeah.
But there's not a world where both of those happen and they both start.
Right, totally.
So it's like, it gets tough, where it's like, you're going to feel like one of them, if they both play well, is being underutilized. Mm-hmm. It sucks because we could so use both of them being good. There's not a world where any NBA team doesn't want their players to be great. But if both Shaedon and Jerami play really well, you'd assume Jerami would be getting traded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which sucks, because ideally, Shaedon breaks out and gets the start over Jerami, and Jerami is like a perfect six-man. But like, dude, a bad Jerami Grant showed that he could be part of our best lineup.
Yeah.
A perfect Jerami Grant, and the way this team is constructed, would be in a lineup with Jrue Holiday, Denny, Tu, and Clingan.
Yeah.
and then Jerami. Like that is the best defensive team in the NBA, and he'd be a 40% three-point shooter on a team that desperately needs it. While we can agree that the best case Shaden is a league average three-point shooter, or
Yeah.
maybe slightly above, and a high effort but still really working on his defense.
Yeah, the thing with that is we're gonna find out like it's like we said with Shane, we're gonna find out very soon
Very
a
soon.
lot because Chauncey Billups is gonna have to make a decision between the one of the two of them like right away. So there was a lot of talk about demeanor. There was a lot of talk about effort. There was a lot of talk about what someone brings to a team. We put Jerami in a bubble that maybe he does actually like to contribute a lot for a team. And maybe he wants that. Maybe that's why he stuck with us or why he went to Detroit. Jrue Holiday is none of that. Jrue Holiday is a massive ball of clay you can turn into whatever you want, and it will be awesome. Jrue Holiday has won 2 titles in the past 4 seasons, 4 seasons. He has a 3-point game. He has a post game. He can pass. He's the best on-ball guard defender you could argue of all time. He can guard bigs a little bit. He's that stocky.
He can do everything.
He can do everything. And we got him to trade for a player that people thought made us worse. We disagree with that, at least on the offensive end. But we just swapped out Anthony Simons for Jrue Holiday. On paper, right now at least, you cannot tell me that is a bad thing. He's going to make our defense incredible. And I think really the only worry people have with him, because I think we've all gotten over the minutes thing, like the standing in the way of Scoot thing. At least maybe if you disagree with that, let us know in the comments. But I think the issue is the age and only the age. And it's like, you see, and I mean, they've been talking about LeBron for forever and like KD for forever. I truly am under the belief that with like modern medicine, training, whatever, like 35 is the new 32. There seems to be the belief that sometime during this 3-year contract we have with him, he's going to fall off. And it's kind of just how good this trade was when that point comes. I don't think that that's going to happen this season at all. He obviously might not be an explosive player who's scoring a ton, but he's never really been that. And we're not going to really ask him to be that.
Yeah.
We just really want him to like drive a couple times, make his layups, make his threes, and that's it.
Yeah.
We're not asking a lot out of Jrue. Just be awesome on the defensive end like he knows how to be, right?
I have a really maybe slightly delusional but really fun take I want to make about Jrue. I'm really hoping he has basically what Chris Paul's Oklahoma City season was.
Yeah.
When Chris Paul went to OKC, his last season in Houston, people were like, oh, like he was still good, but he looked clearly worse. This is going to be like one of his last couple of years, and he's going to ride out to the sunset. Like that was the prediction. And then he went to OKC, a team with a lot of young talent, and was the perfect, especially a young point guard, and was like transformational. Still looked incredible and showed that a season from before where he had some injury concerns and didn't look like what he used to was honestly a little bit of a fluke.
Yeah.
And he came back and put together 3 more years of really, really, and this is the same age that Jrue is now. This is when Chris Paul was 35, Drew's 35 now. Same exact age range. I think the more I watched him, especially at FanFest, I thought that looked like Jrue Holiday. You know what I mean? Like you can tell if a guy looks old, no matter what the setting. I watched him. I was like, he made the game winner buzzer beater, a one-handed floater. He like worked Blake Wesley, who was giving it his all, and put up this little one-handed floater and won the game.
Yeah,
and defensively looked like he looked flawless. And I think that's kind of Jrue Holiday's game, is that he's flawless. And that doesn't mean he's like doing everything at a 10. It means like you don't watch him and think he's doing anything bad.
Yeah,
he's a Hall of Famer. I just saw that fun fact on the NBA rank on ESPN where they had him at 91st. That he is one of 3 players to have multiple championships in the last 5 years. I think it was what it is. The other 2 are KCP and Caruso, which sounds like a kind of a nitpicky stat, but he's the exact kind of guy who you think of when you're like, oh, what would be a piece that no matter what would be good?
Yeah. I mean,
that's Jrue Holiday. No matter what the situation is, he's good.
I mean, think about KCP and Caruso, the mold of just like a defensive beast who can shoot and is really smart and knows where to be.
Exactly.
Right? And you're getting the king of that in Jrue Holiday. I don't really care what percentage you're getting, because to me, like, the age drop off, it's not like he's built on explosivity. It's not like he's
Exactly.
built on speed alone. Like, I think he was obviously quick in his Pelicans days, but like, that's not what Drew's game is. It's IQ and it's strength.
Yeah. And here's the big thing with everything you just said is absolutely spot on. And when you mix that with the fact that Jrue Holiday has yet to have a serious injury, it's huge. Because here's the thing, dude, if he's only played like 60 games a year for the last few years, but that's all been like little nagging things. Like when you look at guys who go from being Hall of Fame type players to being, need to retire type players, it's usually because the big one hits. Or they just get so old, like Chris Paul is right now at 40, that they just can't quite do it anymore.
Dude, Chris Paul played 82 games last year.
Exactly. And it was like solid. Put up 9 and 8, and he's 40.
Yeah.
If Chris Paul can put up 9 and 8 at 40, like, and Jrue Holiday, who has yet to have the big one, the big injury, there is so much reason to think he can be better this year than he was last year and have that OKC with Chris Paul type of season.
And that season, that outlier of a season for OKC, like, probably pissed Sam Presti off a little bit because it jumped their rebuild that they were trying to do. He had to get rid of Chris Paul because they were too good so they could re-tank and then get Chet and J-Dub.
Yep.
Like, Chris Paul was so beneficial to the development of Shea and to that team that he jumped them into I think the 5 seed in the West that year. If you give me like 40% of whatever that season was, like, that's awesome. That is an awesome
absolutely.
production. I think we have really nothing but praise for Jrue on top of everything on the court. He's also just like an outstanding guy, awesome teammate, one of Dame's and Jeremy's good friends that I think honestly will help, the three of them being able to be around each other, around all these young guys, I think also helps in the locker room. He's a great leader. Like, there's really nothing you can tell me about Jrue that I will think is bad for this team tomorrow.
Yes.
Right? You can tell me about it in 3 years. You can tell me about the dollar sign. But now that the contracts are all shored up, now that this team is ready to go and establish that we want to win, you cannot convince me that Jrue Holiday is bad for this team in any way. I think with all that being said, his floor projected and ceiling might be like the tightest of any of the guys we've done yet. Is that kind of safe to say? Like, I feel like we know what we're going to get. He's going to be awesome on the defensive end. Yep. He's going to be effective in this new offense and be able to move the ball. He's going to coach these guys well. I think this team's going to get the Scoot and Shaden are going to get better rubbing off on him. Am I crazy to think that way, or is there some weird option where this goes south for Jrue Holiday?
It's just if he has the big injury.
Yeah.
Because honestly, dude, like, even if he has like a few more nagging ones, that just means Scoot or Shaden start more. Yeah. Like, it's like ideally, obviously he's great and he plays every game, but like even his worst case, or not worst case, but like because it's realistic that he just has kind of similar nagging injuries as he did last year, and just instead of looking like Hall of Fame good, he looks just really good.
Yeah.
But like that just means like those other guys get a few more minutes. So it's like, okay. Yeah. The only worst case scenarios is he has the big injury.
Yeah, but you can make that case for anyone.
Anyone who's above 30, especially. Yeah.
I'll put for an expected. I'll just for fun. I'll put a point or a stat line on it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 9-5.
You say 9 points?
Yeah.
No, you're wrong. You're
Maybe
wrong.
More?
Yeah.
How much did you average last year?
He averaged 11 last year on a much better offense, which also means on an offense where he was not as needed. So I hate to hit you with that. You're wrong.
No, let's hear yours after. I'm gonna go 9-5.
Go for it.
And 4 on 48, 38, 90.
Well, here's my take. Is that I think Jrue is starting all of next year. Mostly because I don't think they'll feel the need to have Scoot start over him, just because they'll expect Jrue to have some games where he sits because of little things that Scoot will just get starts anyway, naturally. But if he puts up 9, 5, and 4, even if he's, great at everything, I think I would hope Scoot can take that starting job.
Over. That's fair.
But I see what you mean. I 100% see what you mean, especially in an offense where it's going to be really balanced, because we've talked about this, and this is why you could easily be super right about that he could look great and only average 9, 5, and 4. Yeah, we said this. If we put all of our like best case scenario points per game for every player, this team would average 150 points.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're right. Like there's going to be guys who are going to score a little bit lower than expected. And the great news is that if Jrue does put up 9, 5, and 4, we know he's still going to be really, really good.
Yeah.
Because he's just one of like 10 guys in the league who isn't a star who would be great on any team in any situation.
Totally.
I think realistically he's like, 12. Oh, this is tough. Because now it's like, because I just absolutely shit on you for saying 9.
But 9 to 12, 9 to 12 is a big difference.
It is. You're right. I'm going to say 12, 5, and 5. I think his passing is going to be more needed this year. Yeah, 12, 5, and 5 while looking like, just being clearly one of the better players on the floor every time he's on the floor.
Yeah. I could totally see 12. 9 does feel like a low ball. I guess 9 either our offense is kind of putrid or Shaden's averaging 25.
Well, that's the thing, dude. You can make the argument anytime you're talking about like how much guys are going to average. You're like, oh, he's going to average 9 because the offense sucks. But you can also say, oh, he's going to average 9 because it's going to be so good that everyone's going to score.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can use
So
the argument
hard.
either way.
Yeah.
Best case scenario for me, like, dude, if you look before Boston, he didn't average less than like 18 basically for like the 6 years before that. Best case, he has a true bounce back year, which we've talked about it. We think is entirely possible.
Yeah.
And he puts up like 15, 5, and 7 and still looks like a great defender.
Because the thing is with that is he totally could just have like, it wasn't his role to do that in Boston. Jaylen Brown.
Exactly.
Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford's putting in buckets. Derek White can give you 20, 25, and obviously
They also had Jason Tatum. I don't know if you remember.
And Tatum, whatever.
Yeah,
but
that guy.
Tatum's a guaranteed like 28 every night, and Jaylen Brown's a guaranteed 25 every night. But like, you remember just even a season and a half ago, we'll call what was it? It would be a year and a half ago in the finals run. Jrue Holiday was maybe the most important player in getting them the title. He was dominating in the post. I remember in that finals. So we're not far removed at all from Jrue Holiday needing to take over. And you're probably really making me rethink my 9 points per game because I think I agree with this. With a world that Jrue sees this team and he goes, damn, this offense is not really working that well. And he just starts taking over in the fourth. Yeah. Like he
can be that guy.
He can totally still be that guy. He's 35 years old. If you the viewers here, if you are fans, I should say, if you guys think that Damian Lillard can come back and contribute in any sort of meaningful way after an Achilles tear, which I do, you have to believe that Jrue Holiday can come in and give you 20 or 25 every couple of nights and win you a couple games single-handedly down the stretch. He totally has it in him. He's always had it in him. And for all we know, he was just chilling in Boston and is a sleeping giant waiting to get woken back up.
And he was so good in Boston too, which is why he's the best.
Yeah,
that's why he's the greatest, because he took a much smaller role in Boston and was still one of the most important players on a championship team.
Yeah,
he can still do all of that and take a slightly bigger offensive role. Obviously, his peak season offensively was in New Orleans. He put up 21, 8, and 5. Like, obviously, he's not going to be that because he's 35, but it's still going to be amazing. There's a very realistic world where he looks like the second best player on the team. Yeah. And worst case scenario, here's the thing with, let's say if Jrue's playing, he's going to be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the most important thing, like you said, is that he is a Hall of Famer who's never relied on his athleticism, who hasn't had a big injury, and is now playing on a team after winning a championship as one of the most important players, and now playing on a team where he'll need a slightly bigger role. Like, it's going to be good.
God, remember him in the Pelicans series where we got swept, dude? He was unreal.
He was unbelievable.
He was like the best player I've ever seen.
He's the best player, and he absolutely eviscerated Damian.
Oh my God.
Like, we're talking about a guy who eviscerated Dame in the playoffs at his peak.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm looking at playoffs right now. He averaged 24, 6, and 6. He had to have averaged like 50 and 20 against us.
It was.
I'm actually gonna look up his stats in that series.
I think it was.
Blazer.
I remember the game 4 was like, but him and AD both dropped 40.
Yeah, it was rough.
That dude's hurt.
Yeah, well, it was game 4. God, we only lost by 8 that game. AD had 40. Sorry, am I looking at this right? Jrue had 41. AD had 47.
Absurd.
Rondo had 16 assists. We lost. God, dude.
God, they
A
had Rondo, I
Rondo
forgot.
Holiday backcourt with Mirotic and Davis. That's a sick team.
Jrue, Jeremy, we're rooting you both on. Please show the world you still got it, I guess we could say.
Yes.
So tough to say about a 31-year-old, but Jeremy,
Yeah.
they're all down in you. We believe in you here at the Blazers
believe
Are
you.
Cool podcast. We think you still got a lot of juice left in the tank. So
It's so funny how optimistic we sound because I think we're overall super like neutral and realistic.
yeah,
I just think we're literally being given a lot to be realistically excited about.
yeah, I don't think it's too hard to believe in players who have shown a lot of good for the past decade. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We appreciate you guys continue to listen on. I think if you've done process of elimination, we have 2 guys left to preview. I think we're going to make a record prediction video as well, right?
We gotta.
Yeah. So we'll get to a record prediction video as well right before the season starts. So plenty to talk about. Thank you for continuing to listen to us. We continue to climb up in subscribers. I mean, there's a small chance we could hit 1,000 before the season starts. That would be incredible, but we'll get there, I think, one way or another, because you guys are awesome. Thank you.
I didn't check for like a week, and all of a sudden we were up like 50.
We just climbed. I think the Haunton video did well. Yeah, you guys are killing it in support. We appreciate everything you guys are doing for us. We're having an amazing time talking about the Blazers.
So much fun.
And we could not be more excited because, as we all know, the Blazers are pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Cool. We will see you guys next time for the final preview.
See ya.